It seems like every supplement company now has an electrolyte. And from a business standpoint, this makes a lot of sense because they're pumping out cheap powders with random ratios of electrolytes and calling it a hydration supplement. This is where Protekt's different because their hydration supplement is more convenient, absorbs faster, and mimics the exact ratio of electrolytes lost in sweat. So it gets the job done with precision and not guesswork. So while other supplement companies are adding electrolytes to make quick and easy money, Protekt has decided to put their full focus into it. And I'm not gonna lie, the fact that they're a 100% American-made, veteran-owned company also adds a lot of value. So if you want a world-class hydration supplement from a company who specializes in it, go to protekt.com/truth. Sleep is the foundation of every goal, and without quality sleep, nothing you do can be done to its full capacity. You'll never look, feel, and perform to the level that you could be if your sleep isn't dialed in. That's why I've partnered with Tuft & Needle, because I know that improving your sleep quality will have a drastic impact on your life, and I've not found a better mattress anywhere. And they have some really good deals going on right now, so if you use the code FREEQUILT, you'll get a free quilt with the purchase of any mattress. And using the code FREEDOWNPILLOW will get you a free down alternative pillow set with every purchase of a mattress. So click the Tuft & Needle link in the show notes and start sleeping and living better now. Anyway, so Justin Lee, and we're here. We're already laughing because it's like before filming, we're already cutting up and joking. And I think like most people, if they know you or if they're looking to go up, they're going to learn about the spearfisherman. And I want to talk about that obviously because it's something fascinating to me. I've never fished with anything other than a pole. So it's fascinating to me, but there's some things that I want to talk about before that. And I've known you for a total of maybe not even 24 hours.
Yeah, I think if you combine all the minutes, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, if you combine it all. But in the short time that like 10 different people told me I needed to meet you, I learned enough that I was like, yeah, this would be a fun podcast. So the first thing that I think has to be talked about is you were the only, like you've done a lot of really cool stuff of like very accomplished, but maybe your craziest accomplishment might be you're the only known man to be bit by a mahi-mahi.
And it happened this year. It was crazy. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people, some people have been like hit by them, like swimming around in bait balls, and the mahi-mahis are just fierce coming in hot and headbutt them. But to actually be like free swimming, I'm by myself in the water, and this mahi-mahi comes up and bites me and like attacks me. Like we tried to Google it, and even Google was all like, shut up.
After you told me 20 minutes later, I Googled it. I was trying to see. I'm like, dude, is this a real thing? It's crazy. And I think what's crazy is you brought that up. And like we were just started talking, and I think we were talking about, you were showing a tattoo because you got a tattoo of the mahi-mahi. And you were just talking about all that. And we started talking about scars.
Yeah.
And you like lift your shirt up and showed me the gnarliest scar I've probably ever seen. And you told me that when you were how old?
4 months old.
You had neuroblastoma.
Yeah, stage 4.
And that is like that's unreal. And I know if it's caught early, it's got a good prognosis and such. But
well, that's the thing is they didn't catch it that early.
Oh, wow.
And this is in the 80s, right? This is 1984. I was born in 83 December.
Wow.
And so like in 84, like it took 3 different doctor visits for them to decide we should probably look in this guy's stomach. Like the first time they took me, the doctors told my parents, he's as healthy as an ox. He's just got an upset stomach. You know, and the second time it's like, yeah, maybe he's got we call it huli stomach when the stomach just is upside down. Go see some doctor or some Hawaiian doctor and have her massage the stomach out. And then when we went to go see that Hawaiian doctor to go have her, we call it lomi lomi, which means mixed together. A lomi lomi specialist, and she went to go try and touch me. She's all like, oh no, there's something in his abdomen that I don't want to touch. And so we went back to the doctor's office. The doctor's office went checked, did a quick scan, and then came back in like half an hour later and told my mom, like, yeah, he's got a mass in there. We're sending you to Kapiolani, which is the Women's Children's Hospital on Oahu. They know you're coming. And we don't know what it is, but you'll have more answers when you get there. And they get there, show up, and the first doctor's like, yeah, pretty much what you're doing now is just prolonging his death. He's,
Oh,
and so they did the surgery like within a couple of days of seeing me, and yeah, took out my right kidney, half of my liver, my right adrenal glands, and like halfway through the surgery, the doctors came out to the waiting room, saw my parents. I think like it was either the love bug or the time machine. My mom says was watching, and she's all like, "Yeah, your surgeon, Dr. Shim, came out and was all like, I don't think he's gonna make it past the hour. You might want to call your family." And walk back into the operating room. And she's all like, had blood all over him. And like you could see on his goggles, like there was blood splashed on that. And then like 3 hours later, he came up, well, surgery's done. We'll see what happens. And then, an hour of survival turned into a day. Then they were like, okay, maybe we can try chemotherapy. So they tried a dose of chemo, but 4 months old, you're going to poison me more than you're going to probably do me any good. So they did one dose of chemo, and then they were thinking about doing radiation. And the radio technology, I don't know what that is, was like, you're gonna fry him.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you can do. You're just gonna hurt him. And so they just like, well, everybody say your prayers. Let's do this. And days turned into months, and I'm here today, 40 years later.
So if I was to ask your mom, like, what was it? Like, what? Like, why are you here? Like, why did that? What would she say? I'm just curious. Like, what her...
To give her headaches, probably, more than anything. It's like, the funny thing is, like, I have an older and a younger brother. And my older brother was conceived before my parents got married. Then they had me and I was sick. And then my younger brother was born afterwards. And I was like, I was just the only planned child. I just wanted to let you guys know that. Like, they had you, Brandon. They're like, okay, so we should have a second one since we got one. Then they had me after they got married. And then they're like, shit, he might die. We should probably have a third one just in case.
Oh, my God.
Then they had you, Ryan. But I don't know. Like, I mean, if you go into like the technical side of it, like they wanted to study my blood and see like if there was something in there that, my parents were like, you guys picked and prodded and cut him in half for the first 4 months of his life. What are you guys going to do with him in a lab? Like, so, I mean, there was talks that there was maybe more T cells or anything like that in the blood system, but I don't know anything like that. But I think, if you ask my mom, she'll probably start crying and then get to the teary-eyed side of it. And she's all like, it's because he makes such a positive impact in the world. But, I think, for me, like that scar is just a reminder to be like, hey, smile. Life is good. Like, who cares that you just got that scar across your stomach? Who cares you've got a freaking messed up finger? Like, life is good. You're still breathing. You're still kicking. You're still moving.
Yeah, because it's like I said, man, I barely know you, but it was like immediate. Like there was no like, and I know part of this is a Hawaiian thing, and I know if I go out to anyone and I introduce myself and I'm like, hey, what's your kid's name? Like, hey, and I introduce myself to the kid, like, oh, it's so-and-so. Hi, tell him hi, be polite. But you were immediately like, tell uncle your name. Like it was just immediate, like, okay, we're cool now, like family immediately. You were just like so immediately like energetic and positive. And that's what everyone was saying about you too, that you're just this super positive person. That's cool. And like, I think it does, it kind of comes back to that a little bit, that's probably.
And I think I got to give a lot of credit to my parents. Like for them to, I couldn't imagine as a father of like a little kid, having to go through that and see them feel so hopeless. Like when my kids have a fever, I feel shitty. It's like, man, I want to be a part of this. Like, but there's nothing I can do. I couldn't imagine watching someone battle through cancer and just standing on the sidelines. But they were always so respectful. Like, hey, like if you're getting introduced by somebody, especially a friend, like their family already. Yeah. Like Tim walked up and was like, oh, this is Tyler. And I was like, if Tim's takes the time for me to introduce you to you, it means that you're somebody that I should say hi to, and I'm not going to, relationships, I think it's part of being in Hawaii. If you're in a relationship with someone, that's family. Like whether it's a friend of a friend, like it's part of it. You're going to get treated like a brother, and I get it all the time. Be like, hey, I've got a friend coming to Hawaii. Do you mind taking them out? And like, they come to the house and like, bro, I got an extra bed. You need a place to sleep. You need my car. I was like, I got to go to work, but you can have my car. And you're like, bro, you met me 20 minutes ago. I was like, well, you Tyler introduced me. If I think Tyler's rad. If he thinks you're cool, then I'm just gonna go by word of mouth. But it goes the same way. Like as soon as you, like, say we met each other and Tim was like, "Hey, this is Tyler, super cool dude," and we shook hands and started talking stories. And if my son like was like, "Hi, Pakai," and like, "Hey," and you just shunned him, I'd be like, "Well, screw you then. Peace out." I mean, it's all received and given at the same ebb and flow. And, and I think, people always say that, you can read people and you can get that sense. And I think that just comes from how they perceive that first aloha, that first handshake. Like, if that handshake or if my kids introducing themselves isn't enough for you to give me 10 seconds to say, "Hey, how's it?" Give a hug. "Hey, how you doing, Pakai? Hi, L. Yeah, I'm Uncle Tyler." If 10 seconds is, if you're too cool for 10 seconds, then you're too cool for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we're moving on anyway. So,
yeah.
And you freaking sat there and freaking gave my kids high five. And, so it was part of it. And then you're in the folds. Studies show that snacking is where most diets fail. So this is why it's extremely important to have snacks that are high quality, easy to grab, and let's be honest, taste great. My go-to snacks are the Maui Nui venison jerky sticks. And that's because these things have 10 grams of protein with only 55 calories. And that's a protein to calorie ratio I've never found in any other snack. They're made from the highest quality red meat available, and they're made without MSGs, without nitrates, and without artificial flavors and preservatives. They're naturally organic, ethically sourced, and every single purchase helps restore Hawaii's beautiful and natural ecosystem. And right now, Maui Nui is offering Truth Serum listeners a free 12-pack of venison sticks with every $79 purchase. So go to mauinuivenison.com/truth. That's MAUINUI venison.com/truth and try them yourself.
Yeah, and man, that was something. Well, first off, like you live in Hawaii, but we're in Montana, and your wife and your kids are here. And dude, I've traveled. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and like I've traveled from Tennessee, driven from Tennessee where I live to Florida. And I think it's like a 10, 11, 12, I don't remember. Because when you're driving with kids, there's no sense of time. Like I've done those trips with my kids.
Yeah.
And when I saw you had your family with you, I was like immediately, oh my goodness. Like that guy has like his kids are with him all the way from Hawaii. Like that is such a any parent will understand, like, and I mean, they've been with you like this whole time. Like we were in Bozeman yesterday, Big Sky here, and it's like you like, to me, that was such a cool thing. Cause like you could just tell that your family is like that important. Cause they don't, I mean, I don't know, but I imagine they don't have to be here. I don't think they have any engagement here, do they? Like your kids, your kids aren't running a booth at Total Archery Challenge.
One day maybe, but not today.
But it's like, I think that just says a lot. Like it's important for you to be with your family.
It's huge because, I mean, in addition to, this kind of stuff, like I'm pretty busy, and with the flying and spearfishing and competitions and then archery hunts and just kind of other different obligations. So you try and take advantage of as much time as you can with them. And, and my kids know, like, hey, go give Uncle a high five. Go give Auntie a goodbye. Like, it's just whoever your meet is. Because, I mean, as soon as you step off of Hawaii, you're more than just L and Pakai Lee. Where are you from? You're from Hawaii. Like, and people from Hawaii just inherently have this pride about themselves. And the pride stems more than just being, I'm from Hawaii. It's all like, hey, I'm from Hawaii. I got that aloha spirit, and we're going to give it to you until you don't. And if you don't want to receive this and you don't get it back, you're going to get voted off anyway. So screw you, so like, and with Elle and Pakai, like the cool thing about them and my wife, Sonali, like, but Elle and Pakai 5 and 7, I mean, they've been in a car every single day for the last 5 to 7 hours. Man. Because we landed in LA, stayed down in Dana Point. The first day in Dana Point, and it goes true with families. Like we went and saw the reptiles, and then my cousin lived in Irvine, or in Carlsbad. So we drove from Irvine down to Carlsbad to have a barbecue for a couple hours, see them, drive back to Dana Point, wake up at 5 o'clock to go to Disneyland, stay at Disneyland for 17 hours, only to wake up the next morning, bro. We went Disneyland. Disneyland is freaking expensive.
Yeah,
like for the 4 of us to go, just the tickets was like $1,000. You know, and I was like, you know what? How long is Disneyland open? 8 a.m. to midnight. Oh, we're staying there all day.
Get our
you
money's
guys.
worth.
We are. You guys not sleeping. You guys not doing anything. And so, yeah, we were there. We walked over like 15 miles, like 29,000, like 200 something steps. And that's my steps. Like Ellen Parkai, like 2 to my 1 steps. You know, and then the next morning, so fast forward to that, we stayed there till like 1 o'clock in the morning, got home. And then I'm like, okay, we got to drive to St. George. We wake up the next morning.
Without naps, with less sleep. No.
It's just throw them in there, give them an iPad, let them go to sleep, and then stop, let them run around the car 10 times, get back in the car. And then get to St. George. And so, but went from St. George, thankfully, you know, that aloha spirit that I've given to some friends have been received and then given back and let us stay along the way.
Yeah.
You know, and so we went to St. George, stayed with some friends in St. George, drove to Park City, stayed the night in Park City, drove to Cody, Wyoming, stayed with some friends in Cody, Wyoming, and then drove through Yellowstone and came up here. And so like every day, like if like the kids now, it's like, you guys having fun? Yeah. You want to do more driving? No. We're done driving, Dad. It was like, actually, we're going to Salt Lake City tomorrow. So,
and that's it was cool for me. Like you challenged me a little bit as a father yesterday. So we were at the Sitka event and your kid fell, and you were just there, like he was standing on the bench, the bench there and jumping around, and I saw like the bench slid, and like, dude, I was immediately afraid, and like he fell, and you could tell the way he fell, he wasn't injured, but it was scary. And it obviously hurt. Yeah. And like he gets up and he's like crying immediately. And I mean, he didn't hit his head. Like he didn't land in a way that like nothing's broken. Like everyone, like I knew that. I was still scared for him, but I knew that. But it's like if my kid is in that situation, there's a lot of times that the first thing I want to do is get my kid to manage their emotions. Because if you're not hurt, it hurts, but you're not hurt. And I'm like, hey, you're fine. You're okay. You're not hurt. And I tend to do that a little bit. Yeah. And you did, but not until after you went over and hugged him. Like, and you probably didn't even realize you did it. Like, it's probably such like a second nature thing. It's like you went over and you like hugged him, and then like you looked at him a little bit, and then it kind of became okay, we're fine. Like, calm down. Like it was kind of cool because you did the thing that I do think as dads we need to do. And that's, like help our kids like manage their emotions, their emotional IQ, but you didn't dismiss the fact that he was hurting. Like you acknowledge that first, because it's like, hey, Dad's here, you're okay, and now I'm just going to reiterate the fact you're okay. But I don't think it was something you even intentionally did. It's just who you are. But it was like, first step, I'm your dad. Now second, like I'm going to try to like get you to, for lack of a better term, like man up a little bit. Let's toughen up a little bit, but I'm here. I just thought that was such a cool thing, because I was even thinking like, I don't know that, and I consider I feel like I'm a very good father, but I don't know that my first reaction when my kids are crying and hurting from something is to first like hug and make sure, and then go to that. I was like, dang.
Every meal you put into your body has the chance to make a positive impact, so it's very important that you take this chance to eat the right foods. I can't believe I'm saying this, but one of the healthiest and best tasting food options I've found comes in the form of a shelf-stable product from Essential Provisions. Forget everything you think you know about shelf-stable meals, because these go beyond organic and are made without glyphosate, seed oils, soy, or any sketchy natural flavors. And I promise you, these are going to be some of the best tasting meals you've ever had. To be honest, their bison chili is the best chili I've ever tasted, and I make a really good chili, so I was a little bit offended. So whether you're hiking, hunting, camping, preparing for emergencies, or just want fast access to delicious and healthy meals, check out Essential Provisions and visit the link in the show notes to save 10% off.
I think it just stems from, my dad being the father figure that he was for us. And I couldn't imagine like raising 3 boys. And like my older brother and my younger brother, we are not quiet, read a book on the couch kind of kids. Like we were putting heads through the walls and everything like that. But that was like always the first thing was like, Dad's here. Are you really broken? No. Now, okay. I need deep breaths. Let's get out of the situation. Let's mellow out. Let's rectify this. And the same thing like with him. Like he is he is all that his boy. and my daughter is all that is princess.
Oh, yeah.
Like she'll still wear camouflage and go get bloody and help me clean fish. But my son is like, for his 5th birthday, I was like, what do you want to do? I want to hold a snake, Daddy. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, a big one. I'm like, okay. So I searched around in Irvine in California, and there's this place called the Reptile Zoo or Prehistoric something. And you could take a picture with a 10-foot boa constrictor. And so we walked in and we looked at like all of these snakes and everything like that. And there wasn't anybody in the area where you could go take pictures. And I was like, man, he's like, when are we going to, can I hold one? I was like, yeah, maybe. And also I was like, yes. And then we sat next to this, and he's just sitting there like this, like just in heaven with a snake in his hands.
fear.
No fear. I mean, his ability to catch geckos is awe-inspiring. Like, like I don't know how this little 5-year-old kid catches so many geckos at my house in Hawaii. Like, and then he just catches them, pulls the tail off, laughs, and then lets them go. So like now at my house, you've got like all of these geckos that are tailless. They're just running around. And it's like, buddy, you know how long it takes them for them to grow back their tail? He's like, no, Daddy, I saw it on YouTube. They can. They grow it back. I was like, yeah, I get it. But
And it's innocence. He don't know. He don't know.
exactly. It's like it wiggles in his hands, and then his sister's like, "That's ill, ill, Daddy." Like,
It's such a cool thing. Like I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, both boys, and they're both feral. They're completely feral. And they're respectful. They're like well behaved, but they're also feral. And it's like there's been times that we've had those discussions because we've been like, hey, calm down. I'm like, but why? Like honestly, no.
Yeah.
You're 3-year-old and 6-year-old boys. Like you can be wild because if you talk to their teachers at school, they'll talk about how well behaved they are.
Oh my gosh.
And how respectful. And sometimes we're like, what are you doing?
That's
like,
what
what drug are you using?
That's what me and my wife were saying the other day, because like he just graduated preschool, and we went in for like the last parent teacher conference or whatever, and she's all like, he is so ready for kindergarten. He listens, he helps out, he knows his numbers, he's so well behaved, and I'm like,
Can you come live with us?
Pakai Lee? Like, you sure you're talking about the right kid, right? Like, you sure? And she's like, he is so good. Like, she's all like, he's one of the special ones. Like, I'm gonna miss him so much. And I'm like, what is going on? And like, but it's the same thing. Like, I got checked by my buddy in Cody. He's running around doing crazy stuff in the living room, and we're having a conversation. I'd be like, Pakai, stop. Hey, stop. And he's like, he's 5 years old, bro. He's not gonna break anything. It's okay. Like, we're good. And I was like, man, but for me as a dad, like hearing him jump off the couch and doing stuff in someone else's house, I'm like, hey, this is not your house. You got to respect this place, But yeah, my buddy's like, he's 5, dude.
Yeah. No, dude, my youngest, my 3-year-old, before he was 2, had broke his leg. Like he was, and so they put him in this cast from the hip down to his foot.
Oh.
And like they bent it. And I was like, why is it bent? And like, well, we do that so they can't run or walk, like because they're not supposed to walk on it. Like, we need this to heal.
Yeah. So
we bend it so they can't. So he's gonna have to do a lot of butt scooting and crawl around for a bit. We're like, well, what's a bit? And they're like, at least like 2 months. I'm like, y'all don't know this kid. Yeah. So long story short, within 3 hours of being home, he had already figured out that all he had to do was bend the other leg to match that, and now we just had a new gait, and he's running around everywhere. And we call the doctor. We're like, he's running. Like, what are we supposed to? Like, what do you mean he's running? I'm like, he figured it out. Like we get it. He just bends the other one and he runs around with it. Like, we'll just like try to get him to not do that as much as possible. Like,
Yeah.
well, what is the worst case scenario if he keeps doing it?
Yeah.
Like, so we're already like trying to manage that. 'Cause I'm like, there's no way. Like, cause like I'm not going to wrestle my kid like physically, because it's the only way my kid is not going to do that. And it was awful. And then he figured out that like it was that horrible inconvenience that was his leg was now a weapon. And once he figured that out, it was like game over for his older brother. Like, he figured out how to wield it like a mace.
It's a mace.
And just be flinging that thing. And man, there's just so many times as a father where I feel like I don't know, it's as a parent in general, sometimes I feel like I don't want to say ruin them, but we kind of do.
Yeah.
Like everything everything about like trying to like rear up a child to become an adult in some way, we're taking away the innocence, and we're untraining like the primal nature of humans.
Yeah.
It's like, because what are humans supposed to do? Like we're supposed to move constantly. We're supposed to do these things. Well, okay, well, we're going to make you sit down and sit still, and they're going to put you in school, and they're going to make you sit down and sit still, and then, you know, we have to do these things. We have to, but then it's like, all right, we're going to eat at this time, and this time. Well, kids eat when they're hungry, and if they're not, they're done.
They're not gonna. You can't force them.
No, and we force that out of them eventually, because we're like, no, like, you're going to finish your plate. And we don't think about the fact that, what's that teach a kid to do? That teaches a kid that they have to eat everything there.
Yeah.
And that becomes the adult that's like, dude, I have to keep eating
everything. Yeah.
Whereas truthfully, a kid, like, they can self-regulate. And that's actually like a science. It's a fact. Kids can regulate their own caloric needs. So like a kid, if they're hungry, they'll eat. If they're not, they're not. And if they're not, it's because they just don't need it at that point. And they know that. You know, but we have schedules, we have bedtimes, we have things to do, so we have to untrain that. But it's kind of sad that we have to do that, because they're like the perfect human already. Like, dude, like you ever like seen a kid squat down and grab something? It's just perfect form.
It's like the best.
It's perfect. Like, it's unreal. Like, you don't have to teach a kid to deadlift. They pick things up perfectly, you know, and then we screw it up and they watch us doing it. And then you have to teach them later in life if they want to work out and such. But it's like, as a child's growing up and we're trying to teach them to be better people, we're also kind of like taking away all the cool stuff about humans. Like, I think about that sometimes and it kind of gets me down. I'm like, darn, man, these rules are really ruining humans.
It's crazy. Like you said, it like, you know, when you're trying to be a parent and you're trying to, because I grew up with three, like I was saying, and we were feral. Like, we ran around, and like, that's the thing that I'm most scared of, is that my kid's not gonna know how to be feral.
No.
You know, and like, my mother-in-law that watches my kids are very, very cautious about making sure they wash their hands. Like, my daughter, at the first time I took her hunting, like, she would crawl underneath the fence, but keep her hands up like this because she didn't want to get her hands dirty. I'm like, girl, get dirty. Let's go.
Wow.
You know, now they've since grown out of that fact. But like, you know, with my son, especially, like, he's such a little rebel. Like, I mean, he's got his mother and his grandma wrapped around his finger.
Yeah.
But like, there isn't a gut that he doesn't want to pull out. Like, I'm so proud that my kids know that fish have scales and guts and gills, and bacon comes from pigs that we shoot.
Yeah.
You know, and like, that's, if there's anything that I give to my kids, like, that's what I'm most proud of. And because it is like, we live in a town with no stoplights. You know, we're a small rural country town. And like, me and my buddies and my brothers, we used to run around catching frogs and throwing stuff. Like, talk about having a cast basically disintegrate. My buddy, I mean, he broke his ankle before they could cut it off. It was so soft because we'd be hunting goats in the lava field, and he'd have his cast, and he'd use my dad's shoe so that he could put his foot with the cast inside the shoe, and we'd go walk across the fields chasing goats, you know. And like, to get back to, you know, trying to push out the feralness or support the feralness by trying to get into school and stuff like that. It's such a weird balance to try and, you know, create. And like, there's always like, you know, nowadays, like, kids are so soft nowadays. Like, they don't do this or they don't do that. And there's some truth to that for sure. But my kids still drink from the water hose. Like, when we're outside, they drink from the water hose. They play. They're outside. They're feral. But they still can operate an iPad better than I can.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I think when I was probably 10 years old, we would go around the neighborhood, which, you know, I lived in the neighborhood. It was like the next house was still a ways down, and we were woods everywhere. And we would literally have 22 rifles, like, on the handlebars of our bike.
Yeah.
Like, riding around our bike. And our parents they knew, but they didn't care. And we didn't have cell phones, you know, there was no cell phones. There was no way to contact. And it was like, we would go out in the morning and they just knew that we were going to come back at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we were going to camp, but we would tell them.
Yeah.
And we're going to be staying in the woods. And they would know that. And there was no question. And it's like, if I heard that, just to be honest, if I heard that now, it would take me a second. I would judge those parents so hard. I would be
100%.
like, how are you letting your kid do that? But if you knew my parents and how, honestly, like, dude, I wasn't allowed to watch PG-13 movies, even like my whole life.
Yeah.
Until I like moved out of my house. Like my parents were that strict, but that kind of stuff was no problem because they at age 10 there was things that I knew, and that was if a gun's loaded, it's on safety. You don't point the barrel at anyone. You don't do those things. There is no way I would let my kids do that. Like my oldest, he's 6, and it's like, dude, I don't let my kids out, which I live in like a I guess more suburban neighborhood. But there was no way I would let my kids even out, like riding around their bikes without me out there.
Yeah.
Like much less with a rifle strapped to it.
Like that's the thing too. I was just gonna ask you, is like, now that you had that childhood, would you do that with your kids now? And like, there's no way. Like I look at like the kids, like my childhood I had, like with my brothers and stuff. The stuff that my dad would do with us, like my dad would drop me off because I loved fishing with a rod and reel when I was little. Like that was my life. And there's a Poudre Valley River, or the Poudre River that goes through Fort Collins. My dad would drop me off in the summertime before he went to school. I went to work. And that was at like 7 o'clock. Drop me off with a paper lunch bag. You know, there was no bottled water then. You know, so you had a gallon of water that he would drop you off there with. And I would be there all day by myself, catching carp, just running up and down. Every now and then my brother would come in. I'm thinking about it. I was like, man, we moved home my summer between my 5th and 6th grade year. That's when I was 10 years old. So I was hanging out at the riverside at like 8 by myself, like no cell phone. The only thing I knew was that when the sun was straight up, I had to go to the bridge because my dad would come and check on me. And so I'd run to the bridge, he'd check on me, and then he'd go back and then pick me up in the afterwards and be like, but those core memories, like, I mean, the swallows that, you know, the chicks that would fall out of the nests and all of those things that you would do, crayfish and catching the carp and X, Y, and Z down there was so rad. And there's a part of me that's like selfish in a way that those are my memories. And there's a part where I want my kids to have the same, but then there's a huge part of me that's like, fuck no.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like I'm like the last, I'm 36, and so I was born in 87. And I feel like I'm like the last of the generation that could do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if that's, I don't know. Is the world a scarier place and that's why? Or is it because of social media and news and stuff? We just know about the horrors that are out there.
Yeah.
So like we're now armed with that information, so we know more than our parents did. Like I don't know. Like I almost question sometimes, like if our parents then knew about all the pedophiles that were around and knew about all the people drunk driving. Like if they knew about it, would they have been like we are now?
Yeah.
And I think that's a large part of it.
That's the thing. Because I think you hit it on the head. Like we're so information rich now, and it's so instant. You know, with the Amber Alert, with this and that, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, 8-year-old this and 8-year-old that, or 12-year-old, or even, you know, drunk driver drives off road and kills this, or everything is so instant. Like when we were little, like you had no idea. Like, I mean, are we any more endangered now than we were 30 years ago?
I almost think in some ways we might be, just because we're not as rugged and prepared. Like from this, I really think like a little bit there might be more danger, but we might actually be causing that because it's like we're so information rich. But I feel like becoming information rich has made us like experience poor. You know, like I feel like there's a lot of those lessons that just like can't be learned as well.
Yeah,
and it's like there's some things that like, dude, I'll even force it. So my 6-year-old has just become like obsessed with fishing.
Yeah.
And like I taught him, like he's casting on his own. He's doing the whole process. And I'm not ready to let him like take one off the hook.
Yeah.
But he's doing all the stuff by himself now. And his first day ever fishing from the start, like casting it from the bank, like casting, sinking, reeling, he catches a bigger bass than I've ever caught. Real all the way in. He's like, Dad, like how much bigger ones have you caught? I was like, dude, I've never caught a bass that big. Like, what are you talking about, you punk? Like almost like a little jealous. But it's like those experiences have been such a cool thing. But he is like any kid with a stick and a string and a very sharp, razor sharp object. He's very dangerous with it. Well, my wife is like freaked out over it. She's like, watch what he's doing, because it's sloppy, but he gets it out there. And we were at the river fishing several weeks ago, and I was recognizing that he don't pay attention to who's around him.
Yeah.
It's just back and forward and all this. And this sounds silly, but I'm like, oh, I'm going to use myself to teach this kid a lesson. And so like I'm behind him already anyway. And he's almost hit me several times with that hook. And maybe dumb, maybe a little bit of an unorthodox thing, but I had sunglasses on, so my eyes were fine.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. But I just kept getting out of the way anytime he would do that. And I would remind him, like, hey, buddy, remember, like, we have to, we come from the side, then you can go over. We don't go back and forward, and trying to explain all that to him, but he just wasn't listening, or he wasn't absorbing the information because he just wanted to get it out there and fish. I'm like, oh, you know what? The next time I'm not getting out of the way. And I have a scar. He hooked me. I mean, that hook was in it because I knew what that was going to do.
Yeah.
So he hooked my leg.
No.
And I knew it was going to hurt, and we've all been hooked. It hurts, but it's not that bad. And he won't do it again. And it wasn't because I got mad at him. I didn't get mad at him. I was just, like, he hated it. He hated the fact that he had just hurt me. And, like, it scared him. And, like, dude, I had to, like, push the hook through the other end and clip it.
So he watched the whole thing too.
Oh yeah, he saw it happen. Because I mean, it was like, listen, like he needs to see what could happen, And it was like that was like I find myself sometimes like forcing little experiences like that, like forcing lessons. Because I'm like, man, and again, I'd rather him figure that out on me than hook his 3-year-old brother who's right next to him at all times. So it's like I almost feel like some of those hard lessons, like we have to make happen, or they're just not going to happen.
Well, I lost my 2 front teeth, and I didn't mean to teach this lesson to my older brother. But I went to get the golf ball from him, and he whacked me with the golf club right in my teeth. I tell you what, that's the last golf club I pick up in front of somebody.
Oh my god!
And he knocked out both my front teeth. I remember him saying, "I'm going to hit this to Grandma Keita's house." It was our neighbor, and he swung. And what a 5 and a 3-year-old have real clubs in their hand for? Life lessons.
Yeah.
And I learned that one is like, hey, and now my teeth are a little bigger than the rest and look like chiclets.
Oh.
Like I sang, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth for like 4 years.
Oh
my brother whacked them out when I was so little. But, to get back to like, the forcing that issue with your kids, like that's just, kudos to you for taking a hook to the leg.
Oh, you've done it. You've done it. You wouldn't choose it necessarily, but I'm like, it has to happen,
But yeah, it so does. And maybe because I just grew up, I grew up in the same town as I live now, basically. And, but the weird systems and stuff like that we were playing on, like, I have no idea if my parents even knew what we were doing. But same thing, like with the guns, we didn't have 22s, we had pellet guns. And we used to throw rice in the front yard for the birds to come and land and shoot the birds. But there was like an X over my yard and my best friend's yard. Those birds knew not to land in that yard or they were getting shot at. And but it's crazy, like and I think it gets back to like what you were saying, is like, is it because we're so information rich now that we're scared for the kids to have those experiences? And I think it is, man. Like there's no, like, it would be it'd be the worst parents in the world if you knew that around Poudre River was 47 pedophiles and you let your 8-year-old go fish by himself. Like, I remember fishing, and this guy walked up to me, and he had a fishing pole, and he's like, "Oh, where's your dad?" I was like, "I don't know, he's at work." "You're down here by yourself?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you catch anything?" I was like, "No." And I gave him my name. I gave him, like, I had no idea. This is an uncle walking. He was fishing, doing the same thing as I am. Telling me, I was like, "Oh, do you catch a carp and eat them?" I was like, "No, I just catch them and let them go." He's like, "Oh, we smoke them and stuff like that." But he continued on his way, and like, very easily.
Nothing malicious about it.
Nothing malicious about it. And, is it more of an opportunity now that there is more people out there with internet to be like, oh, there's a kid sitting over there, and maybe go grab him? I don't know. That's just scary.
Yeah, and it's like, so like part of that, and with the I feel like I don't know, the way I was raised and the things I did as a kid, like a lot of people now would just, they would look down on it. But dude, when I was 12 years old, I was armed with more like useful outdoor type information and such than most like grown men now would be if they didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when will I ever need to make a fire with a shoelace and a stick and all that. I don't know, but at age 12, I knew how to do it. And if I ever do, like, I know, you know, when it's little things like that, it was like such a cool thing. Like, dude, I knew how to build lean-tos, and like, we were literally like 12 years old, like spending the night in shelters we built. It's like 12-year-olds now, like, are good at Minecraft. You know, I'm
not down in it, because that's a skill in itself.
It is, and it's a skill you need to know. Like, kids now, they're going to have an advantage over that. Like, they're going to have to get into this technology world. But I'm like, dude, like, I just, and that's why I want my boys are kind of learning that top thing. And I think a lot of it, you know, if you leave the education of your kids solely to other people, they're going to get the base level education. They're going to get the broad spectrum education. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not speaking against the education system. We could, but not going to. But if you allow that to be it, that's all they're going to learn, you know. And it's like, so like I want my kids to learn these other things. Like, dude, my 3-year-old not so much because he's 3, but he is my 3-year-old. He's already learning how to, with a kid's knife, but he's learning how to like cut food properly. They're learning how to do that. Like, my kid's already, like, my 6-year-old knows how to cook, knows how to clean and gut an animal. And again, it's like, well, when will you ever need to know that? I'm like, I don't know. Why? You need to know that if you're a hunter, but even if you're not, but it's like, I don't know. But he knows it, and the confidence that comes with that. And I'm constantly surprised. Like, I'm surprised. Me and my wife, you know, when we got married at Glacier National Park. And I remember we were doing some things hiking and through there, and there was like a couple that we had just kind of got to know them. They were from up north and like New York, and we didn't really know them really well, but they were up a bit ahead of us, and we're walking, and all of a sudden, like a baby bear crosses the trail, and I'm immediately like stepping back, like already like getting like really antsy and like watching and reaching for my gun. You know, I checked my pistol all the way to Montana. I'm like, dude, I'm not leaving this up to bear spray. And I'm immediately like on edge, like this, and the guy of these couples, he was like, "Oh my gosh, like let's try to get closer to his wife or his girl." And I was real friendly. These people were friendly, and I was like, "Absolutely, do not do that." And he turned around, he's like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Why would you do?" Like, I was angry. I'm like, "Why would you do that?" Because he was already like trying to go up to this young. I'm like, "You can't do that."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, in my head, I'm sitting there thinking like, what? Like, I had a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that there's an adult male who doesn't know that baby bear, mama bear, teeth. You know, it's like how did you not immediately, like, it was just really weird to me that this guy was just like in this situation that he did not know that he was in like great danger of already. And I'm like, but a lot of that stuff, like, I grew up kind of knowing those things, you know, like I could identify a copperhead, I could do, you know, these things. And those are the things I do think it's important that I still think kids need to have some like some feral moments. They need to know how to do these things that they may never, you know, and I think it's unfortunate that the world they'll grow up in, they may never need those skills, but they're there, you know, and I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer and any of that stuff, but you know, if all the other stuff fails for whatever reason, because anything built by man has the capability of being destroyed by man. And so at the end of the day, if things fail, like, you better hope that your only knowledge base wasn't on how to use technology. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such like something that, like, as dads and moms, but we're speaking like dad to dad here. Like, I think that's something that is what we're responsible for.
I think so, for sure. Like, I just take it for granted that, like, I didn't realize how special my childhood was until I saw, like, we'd go fishing and be like, I've never caught a fish in my life. I was like, never caught a fish. Like, you know, there's that song, I bet he can't even tie a hook.
Yeah.
Like, I thought everybody knew how to tie a hook.
Yeah.
I thought everybody knew how to go fishing. I thought everybody just did these things. And it was so, you know, like an moment, like, no way. And then you realize, like, holy crap, my childhood is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Like we fished a lot, we hunted a lot. We were outside kicking dirt, throwing rocks. I mean, there wasn't if you were at any hill and there was rocks, every rock was getting pushed off the hill.
Yeah, it's
just
just
to
the
see
way it
how
goes.
fast it could go
Just
down there. And I just take for granted that I think everybody grew up the same way I did, and it's amazing when I realize that people haven't. Like even, I mean, not to say I'm anywhere different or anywhere in weird or anything like that, but like you walk around like these TAC events that we're at, and you have all these amazing people that are archery hunting and are just starting to get into it, and I mean, I'm 40 years old, and you start to talk to some of these people that are like, yeah, they looked at as like the grand masters and stuff like that, and they're all amazing. All of a sudden, like, how long have you been? It's been like 8 years, 9 years. Like, dang, how about you? I was like, man, my first bow was 32 years ago. Like when I first picked up a bow, Matthew's bows didn't even exist. Like I remember picking up, like there was Browning. Like I remember Browning back in the day, and but it's like, so it's so weird to be like, yeah, I grew up archery hunting, but you picked it up when you were 25. Like I had already been archery hunting for almost 20 years at that point. Like it's just that it was such a eye-opening experience that like, and when I take people spearfishing, like that is where I realized that my comfort level in the water came from being pushed in the ocean and following my dad at a very young age. And I thought everybody did, like, and realized like, no, like my wife doesn't even know how to swim. Like people always ask me like, how does your wife not know how to swim? And you spearfish and you do all of these things in the water. I'm like, have you taught your partner how to do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable? Yeah. No, that just turns into an argument and you don't even want to be part of it anymore. So you just leave that alone. Be like, if she really wanted to swim, she could go to YMCA and figure it out. She could do that when she's ready. But, so like I take like friends that, I really want to go to spearfish. And like, are you a good swimmer? They're like, yeah, okay, sweet. Put a mask and fins on. And all of a sudden, they don't even know where their feet are. Yeah. They don't know how to keep their head above water. And I'm like, whoa, bro, you're going to die. Let's get back to the ocean. Let's get back to the shoreline. And, I think it's just from the childhood, like, you're in the egg that you're growing up with. You think everybody has that same egg that you're living in. And you only realize when you step outside, it's like, quote unquote, the real world that, no, like you're like our outdoor lifestyle of running around feral, catching crayfish, throwing rocks at frogs, shooting birds, fishing, spearfishing, like you realize how special that is and how cool that is. And, as a dad, I think it's our job, to, if you truly loved how your childhood was, which it seems like you did, and how much was, it's a shame of us not to pass it on, and I think that's the biggest responsibility for us is how do you do it? How do you push it forward? You get asked all the time, like, why is it important? It's like, but it just is. Like, how is it not important? It's just part of our curriculum as being a Lee family boy, Big Island boy, is to get out there and get after it. And, so why is it important? It's because that's what we're supposed to do. Like, some people are supposed to be the technology route, maybe. I don't know. Some people are supposed to be this. I don't know. Like, my wife teases me all the time. Like, I have her like help me send stuff on Dropbox. Like, people are like, "Hey, can you send those pictures?" And I'm like, "How do I do this?" So like, just put in a Dropbox file and send it to me. I'm like, "Babe, how do I do this?"
Dude,
like,
I would rather print off a photo and mail it to you than the stress I get if someone asks me to upload it to the drive and send it.
And maybe the same discredit I give people for not being able to tie a hook, I get the same. Like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah. So whatever smack I talk about, but you don't even know how to tie a hook. Like, how do you not know how to swim across a swimming pool? Well, bro, I can write an email and with the proper spacing.
No one's Instagram photo is a picture of them typing out an email. Like, no one's like, look at my hard drive, but I've got some pretty cool photos with fish and dead animals, and so that's how I'm going to live with my technology ignorance. But like, dude, like talking about spearfishing, I've never been. I want to very much. It's something I've always wanted to do, but it's completely foreign to me. The closest thing I've ever done is frog gigging. Do you know what frog gigging
I
is?
love frog gigging.
Yeah. So a lot of people, if they don't know, you have, which they make frog gigging spears.
Yeah, looks like a
But
triton.
Yeah. We had forks on a stick, like tied to a stick. Or we would take the machete and cut the stick and shove the fork in and tie. And then we would literally frog gig with forks. And that is what it's saying. You know, you stab the frogs. And you know, that's all we would do. And we would eat them. People would be shocked. But like, to me, spearfishing is such it terrifies me, to be honest. Like, absolutely terrifies me, the concept of it. And like, you're one of the best. Like you really are. I know you might not want to acknowledge that, but I've had, in the short time I've known you, and at these events, there's been really good spear fishermen say that about you. So, you know, I would imagine you are. But it's like, to me, the unknown of the, like, I love to fish, love to fly fish, love to regular fish, but I'm on this side of the water. So if there's anything down there that wants to harm me, it doesn't matter. It can't come up here, you know. And it's like, you're going down there in the water to get something, and dude, like, there's so many things in that ocean that can kill you. I'm just being, you know, so it's like such a cool, and you don't necessarily see them until it's too late. You know, it's like such a cool thing. And like I said, it terrifies me. So it's something I want to experience because of that, you know, whatever. And so, like, I guess I'm like, when did you start spearfishing? Like, how did you become a spearfisherman?
I think when I was little, like, I was scared of the ocean. Like, we would go to the beach, and I was the kid with the fishing pole standing on the rocks, digging holes in the sand, and didn't really mess with the ocean because I was so scared of it. Like, I don't know if I got pounded by a wave at the shore break and I realized, like, hey, that was not fun. But it wasn't until, like, I swam in Colorado and everything, and then when I came back home, I put a mask on and followed my dad one day and saw him jump in the water and spear something, and I was all like, that's freaking cool. But for the first couple of years of, like, spearfishing, like, I never got to carry a spear. Like, my dad was, like, fully aware, like, hey, this is not land anymore. You're in the water. Like, before you hurt yourself or you hurt me, you've got to learn out what to spear, how the currents run, how to do, you know, to get yourself out of a shitty situation, you know. And so I just followed my dad and was bag boy for a long time. And I just wanted to be a part of my dad. Like, you know, everybody's got their heroes and everybody says it's their dad, but my dad truly was. Like, he was the beacon that I wanted to be, you know, whether it was archery hunting or spearfishing. And so if he was going, I was going, you know. And when it came to spearfishing, it was no different. And so following him with my mask and then just watching him, like, there was time. And my dad was, I'm sure just like you and I, like, he probably would have been the guy to take the hook, but he would have backhanded me afterwards. Be like, I told you. And then we would learn. But, you know, he was also the guy, like, you know, if it was time to go hunting and if you really wanted to go hunting, you woke up. Yeah. He didn't come and wake you up. Or if he said, he's like, hey, we're going to go hunting, get up. And if I fell back asleep, he just proved to him that I wasn't going to go. I didn't want to go hard enough. And it was the same thing with fishing, like in spearfishing. So, like, if he was going, I had to show that I wanted to go. Yeah. And he wasn't going to lessen his spearfishing adventure to dumb it down so that this little 8-year-old could follow him. He was all like, well, keep up. And so I remembered, like, following and swimming along with him, and we'd be way off ashore, and he'd dive and just disappear and then come back up with a fish or a lobster or something and be like, that's freaking crazy. You know, and so I wanted to be a part of that so bad. And I remember graduating, getting a 3-prong, which is basically a frog gigger with a rubber at the end that you could spear, and just shooting everything. And I remember coming in with, like, this basically aquarium fish stringer. And my dad's like, okay, time to go eat dinner. And made us eat, like, all of these yellow tangs and all of these random little fish that you see, like dories and stuff, like whatever it was. Like, I mean, whatever was stupid.
That's funny.
Got speared. But I realized, like, my dad, especially with the ocean stuff, was like, if you kill it, you're eating it. Yeah. Like, the minor birds and the random sparrows that landed in the yard, he couldn't care less about those. But inside the ocean, and I think it just stemmed, that's where the stem for the respect of the ocean really came from, was like, I mean, if my dad is saying that, hey, whatever you take out of this ocean, it's got to be, you've got to consume it. Like you're going to eat it all. Like that stuck to it. And then the respect for the ocean just comes through it. And you realize, like, especially in the ocean, you can fight it as hard as you want. You are not going to win. No matter how small the wave is, no matter what the situation is. And you've really got to learn how to work with the ocean, and the same way with spearfishing, is, if you see a fish over there, like, just because it's over there, it doesn't mean that that's how you're going to get to that fish. What it means is you're probably going to go over here and crawl along the bottom because the current's moving this way. And so your situational awareness has got to upscaled a lot with the spearfishing. But like, yeah, I mean, so following my dad in the water, watching him do that and be a part of that was so cool that I got to the point where, like, my brothers are both surfers. And my dad was a surfer too. But when I would wake up and hope for calm water. Like, I wanted to go spearfishing so bad. And even now when I introduce friends to spearfishing, I'd be like, have you accomplished everything else you wanted to do? Because once you get this mask, snorkel, and spear gun, your life is going to revolve around trying to spend as much time underwater as possible. And it is, because it's so addicting. And the cool thing is, unlike fly fishing, fly fishing maybe because of sight casting, but like, if I want to eat a red fish, I'm going to go look for a red fish. I'm going to spear a red fish, or if I want X, Y, or Z, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm going to go get. And the greatest thing about the spearfishing is just like archery hunting. Like, you've got a whitetail, you got a particular whitetail you're looking for, whether it's, curly or twisty or whatever his name is, that's who you're looking for. And you're going to go out there, you're going to have crazy experience. You're going to see things that you never experienced. And that's going to be a part of it, is that what you want to go see. I tell people, like, the bow might take me into the field, or the spear gun might take me into the ocean, because I'm going out there with a purpose. But like, what I experience is so much more than what I get to bring home, physically, as far as fish and animals. Like, some of my best experiences spearfishing have nothing to do with me pulling the trigger on my spear gun. And same with archery hunting, like getting to dance with whale sharks or swim with a sperm whale or tiger sharks or whatnot. It's just that I would never experience it if I didn't have a spear gun in my hand. So like, having that spear gun, that adventure, that method of going to go get food, just opens up the world to so much more. And it's unbelievable.
And is there a part of you so you said, like, you were terrified of the ocean? Like, is there a part of you that's like still afraid, but you just know to deal with it? Or is it just like, just not afraid anymore?
I think the fear gets trumped with respect, like, pretty quickly. Like sharks, like, I'm not a fan of sharks. Like, I don't like seeing them. Like, and you see some big ones. It's not like I'm like sitting here going, man, I hope I go see a shark today. I know people that are very, very excited when they see a shark. I am not that guy, because that just means there's another predator in the water with me, and he might want to take my fish away.
That's not what I was thinking. Take my leg away. Like, if I see a shark in the water, I'm not thinking, oh, dude, this guy's going to get the fish I'm trying to get. I'm like, this dude's going to get my leg.
Does the fear still there? I think the fear is still there, but it gets trumped with respect way quicker. I've had some pretty gnarly experiences in the water where if you were scared, you weren't going to come out of it. Like, if you weren't in your right place of mind, you weren't going to survive it. Like, one day I was spearfishing at nighttime with a buddy of mine, and he dropped me off in the boat, and I was all by myself. He dropped me off and went fishing, and he said, I'll pick you up at the end of this ledge. And I'm half a mile off the shore already, and my light turns off. And so now it's completely dark. The current is blowing me off the shore, and I'm sitting there like that, and I'm like, well, I can swim this half mile against the current, try to get into shore. It's probably going to take me 45 minutes to get in with the current, because currents, you can't go A to B. You've got to drift along the shoreline and try and find a way in, and it's completely dark. But like, if I let the situation overtake me and panicked, like, I could have attracted a friend that I would have never seen that might have taken my leg or whatever it is. Or I freaked out and started to kick off course. But I knew, like, in my head, like, well, I'm in no danger. Like, I'm cool. Like I can breathe. I'm chilling. I can see the lights of the cars driving on the highway. I see my buddy's boat, and so he, realizes like my light's gone, like after half an hour, coming to try and find me. But if I would have let the emotions take me over, I would have kicked off of the line that he was at. Like the way he found me basically is he parked his boat, followed the current line, and then when he finally picked me up, I was in like 500 feet of water, like in Tiger Shark Alley. But like if I didn't, if I was still that young kid scared of the ocean, or just anybody scared of that situation, I could have panicked. Didn't know where my ups and downs were. Tried to swim in. So I think, is it still there? It's for sure still there. It's like, it's kind of like how you're walking on the trail, you're fine, and all of a sudden you see a baby cub,
Yeah.
and you're instantly like, okay, I'm in a situation. How do I mitigate this? What do I need to do to keep myself safe? And for you, it was like, grab my pistol, take a step back, get now I'm ready for anything that happens. What's going to happen, and avoid anything that's really going to happen. And it's the same thing with the water.
I think that kind of goes back to like we talked before about like emotional intelligence and controlling it. Because it's like I had this conversation with my 6-year-old. I don't really feel like my 3-year-old's ready for it, but like my 6-year-old, I have this conversation with him because he'll be like just crying, just overly emotional over something like that. And again, like we like honor the emotion, it's cool, all that, and he'll just be mad something didn't. He'll be like, dude, why are you acting this way? Because I'm mad. I'm like, that's fine. Like you have a reason to be mad. I get it. Like even if it's something so like if I just built a Lego boat and it broke, I would be mad too, and I would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like even at this age, if I spent all that time, I would be like, I'm not saying you can't feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we need to work on your reaction to the situation. And same thing with fear. Like there's times he's like, Dad, I'm scared of something. Like we going out into the woods because he hunts with me, going out like early, like when it's still dark and going out with me. Like there's times like he wants to like, Dad, I want to get out of the truck. Now he's fine. I don't want to get out of the truck. Why? I'm scared. I'm like, that's fine. Like you can completely be scared.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be your reaction to fear. Like you choose your reaction. Like you can still have that thought.
Yeah.
But let's think of a different actionable thing we can do with that. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing you're thinking. It's like, oh yeah, I'm still afraid, but now I'm just armored with all these other choices I can make with it and do there. Because it's, dude, the one thing when you're saying this whole time, I'm sitting here thinking, again, as someone who's never been spearfishing, I'm like, you're never really in control because you can't control the water. You're not controlling the fish. You're just understanding you're not in control, and you're just, for cliche, going with the flow and just controlling what you can and adjusting as you can to just kind of be one with the situation rather than trying to own the situation.
And it's that same thing. Like when you're talking about the emotional, and we were at Space Mountain with my daughter, and we were standing in line, and I was all like, "How you feeling?" She's like, "I'm a little scared." I was all like, "Do you think you're gonna get hurt?" She's like, "No." I was like, "What are you scared about?" She's like, "It's dark. It's gonna go fast." I was all like, "You should get excited then. If you know you're not gonna get hurt, let's get excited." And so like right before we walk into Space Mountain, like she's jumping up and down. I was like, "How you feeling?" She's like, "I can't wait to go on, Daddy." I was like, "You getting excited?" She's like, "Yeah." And so she's like jumping up and down. I'm like, heck yeah. And then we rode it, and she was like yelling "we" the whole time.
Yeah.
I was all like, she got out, she's like, "That was so much fun." I was like, "You want to do it again?" She's like, "No." But that was fun.
Great.
I was all like, very cool. I was like, Daddy is so proud that you were so excited to go on that. And you're so brave. I was like, but that's what it is, you get into a situation where, the unknown can be scary, and you're the only one that's going to hurt yourself. Like when I was in the dark, like in that situation, like I am in control of kind of my outcome more than you even want to say. Like, I mean, this is horrible to say, like we've come across like dead dolphins and they haven't been eaten, and they're stink and they got slick trails off the back of them, so like if that dolphin isn't getting eaten, like me in a wetsuit, like unless I start acting frantic and causing attention to me, nothing's going to mess with me, or That's what I tell myself. Maybe that's
Yeah,
a
it
false
works.
cloak. But, it's the same thing. So, like, in that situation, like, yeah, the unknown is scary. Like, it's dark. I don't know if my buddy's ever going to find me, but I know the shoreline's there. I know that, I've swam, like, I swam for the University of Washington in Seattle, and we'd have practices where we'd swim 10,000 yards. Like, I know that I can swim 4 or 5 miles, and I have fins on. So I can even more so be able to do that. I have a wetsuit on. I'm comfortable. The water's not that cold. So theoretically, I am in a situation where I can stay in the water for 8 or 9 hours and not have an issue. And if I feel like I'm getting tired, I can take my weight belt off and throw that. And then I'm completely buoyant. So like in that situation, I'm the only one that's going to do any detriment to me. Thankfully, my buddy picked me up and I didn't have to swim the shore, and Coast Guard wasn't called, and all all of the X factors. But so like in that situation, it's like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But externally, it's eventually you got to tell your inner voice, be like, shut up, we're okay.
Yeah,
Let's just move forward, and just to try and stay as calm as you can, but like that's kind of the only times that you really feel like fear kind of creep up on you, is when that first like few minutes of like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
And as soon as you realize, like, you tell yourself, man, you're fine. You're not going to get hurt. The worst thing that you can do is splash water in your own face and make yourself drown. You're not going to do that.
Yeah, not going to drown yourself.
And as long as you stay calm, you can swim for as long as you need to swim. Like there was a guy that got rescued a couple of years ago off the coast of, he was fishing with his wife. He got sucked over water, sucked off the cliffside. His wife went to go help him, got sucked off the cliffside. And these are two people that floated for like 14 hours with just shorts and a T-shirt. And then a helicopter just saw something out of the corner of his eye. So it's like, oh, shucks, there's a big shark down there. Went down there, found these two people swimming, treading water still, 14 hours later. And then called the, fire, and rescued him. Yeah. But like, those people were in a much worse situation than I was. No one knew that they fell in the water, but it's just that mental strength that you just be like, if I stay cool, calm, and collected, if I stay that cucumber, I'm good. Like, but if you were to throw me in a UFC fight or just in like, I don't know what I would do. Like, if someone's trying to punch me, like, I don't know.
You punch back, or you get the worst. I would say the worst that can happen is you get knocked out.
Exactly.
You could die, but statistically, you're more likely to die on your way to the venue.
Yeah.
So it's
so like, but everybody's got their own, places where they find calm where everybody else would freak out. Yeah. And lucky for me, like whether it's archery, hunting, or spearfishing, like I can find that zen spot for me, and I can mellow out and be okay with the situation. I've got friends that do some gnarly things in the water, like chase freaking buildings made out of ocean and catch them and smile at the end of it. Get treated like rag dolls, and like, how does that comprehend to my job as a spear fisherman is to be as seal-like and do nothing as possible. Like, hold your breath, get to the bottom, don't move.
Yeah.
Stay as long as you can, then get back to the surface, take a breath. When you get to the surface, don't move, rebreathe, and then dive back down. Like, a job as a spear fisherman is to be as lazy as you possibly can be. Don't get excited. Don't raise your heart rate. Don't do X, Y, and Z. Just stay calm, And the hardest part of the staying calm part is when you're at the bottom and you see something big.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That's where the fear really comes from. And then like your ability to, be like, hey, like that's a threat, but I can't react to that threat because I've been down for a minute and a half and the surface still a minute away, and I need air. I can't kick any faster. I can't do, anything to get me to the surface any faster without burning more oxygen and having a passing out. I don't want to cause any more attention to me and have this, shark come and mess with me or whatever it is. So like your ability to find zen in really, really uncomfortable situations is what makes the difference between a good spear fisherman and one that stays in the shallows.
Jeez, there's so many little like lessons in that, and it's like, dude, I feel you're super easy to talk to. We could talk forever, but a lot of people, like I said, they've told me you're like one of the best spear fishermen, but I would imagine your kids would say you're the world's best dad. So I know we're taking time away from your kids. So I'll wrap it up so you can get back to your family. Because again, trust me, as a parent, I also understand every moment you're away from your kids and they're with your wife, you're on a ticking time clock of like, oh, okay.
I don't know who leashes out worse, the kids or the wife.
Yeah. So I don't want to take any more time away from your family. But dude, it was cool to dive into a world that like I'm completely unfamiliar with. So it was really cool to be able to talk to you about that, and hopefully you can get me past my fears of doing it.
Let's
and, like, go spearfishing one day.
Oh, it'll be fun. I mean, when you got a 3 and a 6-year-old, I got a 5 and a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, get them all together.
Whew, man, I don't know if I want to see my kid or I want my kids to see me that scared, but we'll have to schedule it and see. Well, I appreciate it, man.
We'll go do it. We'll go get after it for sure.
I want to thank you guys for watching, and also a word of thanks to our sponsors who have made this episode possible. All I ask is that you guys please hit the like and subscribe button, as it helps the podcast grow and so we can continue to bring on some great guests for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.